After 2 weeks of sabbatical, we are back on the program House of Commons, this time to look at the common issues affecting our society and our community. With the 2025 October 12 presidential election now history, as vote counting is on the way, it is imperative for us to look at critical issues affecting the lives of our nation at the level of the economic, at the level of the political sphere, at the level of the social, cultural, and infrastructural development, also cognizance of the educational brouhaha which is within our same nation, Cameroon. With everything said, done, now voters are now arms crossed waiting for the official proclamation of the result by the Constitutional Council, which is the only body mandated to actually announce the result, with the National Vote Counting Commission compiling results, hoping that by the end of today or tomorrow, so the result by the National Vote Counting Commission will be automatically forwarded to the Constitutional Council to actually see how they can have the post-electoral petition before actually announcing the result based on the outcome of the post-electoral petition. At the National Vote Counting, all the parties are represented, all the political parties are represented at the National Vote Counting, and also they are also members of ELECAM and also members of the administration and judiciary, where they all sit to look at the returning sheet from the different divisional headquarters. In the studio, we are going to have our panelists with whom we are going to discuss on what are the lessons learned by political parties following the just ended October 12 presidential election. What are the lessons learned? If you are watching us, you can also contribute in the program by sending us an SMS on the numbers that will soon be displayed on your screen. What are the lessons learned for this 2025 October 12 presidential election? A lot of political parties wanted to be part of this election. They sent in their application at the Elections Cameroon. Over the numbers that sent in the applications, only 13 were retained by Elections Cameroon. As time went on, it now was to be given at the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council, some went in with petition explaining why they should have been or they should be placed as candidates for the October 12 presidential election. As the Constitution will have it, one of the 13 was actually dropped, and those who wanted to be part were actually refused based on the fact presented by the legal team that these men were not actually eligible according to the electoral code of Cameroon. So the voting went on. Campaigns were launched on the 26th of September 2025. 2 weeks of campaigns, 1 day of voting, vote counting on the way. What lessons have been learned by political parties and voters as far as the 2025 presidential election is concerned in Cameroon? This is House of Commons with me, Tamai James. Happy Sunday to all those of you joining us and watching us from different parts of the world. I want to welcome you, and happy Sunday to you, Madam Joan, and of course, Mr. Nyam Robert from the United States of America. Happy Sunday to you and your family, Maya Kelly Sr. Happy Sunday to all of you, and of course, happy Sunday to you, my very good friend Didi. Happy Sunday to you, Didi, in Switzerland. And as we prepare to celebrate the birthday of you, Anang Dorothy, this October 22nd. I want to seize this opportunity, Anang Dorothy, to wish you a very happy birthday to you and many more years to you. May God continue to guide and protect you as you celebrate this Sunday. To all of our fellow viewers who have missed us during this period of sabbatical. I want to say happy Sunday to you all, and God should continue guide and protect you. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. In the studio, we are joined by our cream of panelists with whom we are going to discuss on today's edition of our program. We have Nick Anu, who is here with us. Nick Anu, a member of the civil society who has observed this election, and together we had looked and actually had programs as far as the election is concerned. And after the election, we are back. Nick Anu, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you, Mr. Jarvis. Happy Sunday to you, my co-panelists. Happy Sunday to my brother, Tabong Julius, watching us from the US of A. And happy Sunday to my entire family. Happy Sunday to the people of Fontem watching this program at this moment. And happy Sunday to you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much, Nick Anu, for joining us on today's edition of our program. We also have Mr. Prizo Eyum, who is Eyum, right?
Prizo Eyum.
Yeah, okay, Prizo Eyum, who is, sorry, Daddy, for the wrong pronunciation, who is also a member of the Pius political party of Serge Espoir Matomba. He was here during the period of campaigns and is back for us to look at what lessons have been learned by political parties of the 12 political parties who contested. What lessons have they learned as far as the 2025 presidential election is concerned? Happy Sunday and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. It's a pleasure being here today. And I want to extend again the greetings of our leader to the management of this station, as well as to all Cameroonians, all your viewers, and most especially to the members of our political party, which is the UPSR, United People for Social Renovation. So I think we will have a good time discussing about the aftermath of the election that took place almost a week ago.
Thank you very much. And these are the gentlemen with whom we are going to have a discussion right to 2 p.m. There have been modifications as far as House of Commons is concerned. It is no longer 12 to 1:30. It is 12 to 2 p.m., which is 2 hours to discuss. Those of you who have been begging that time should be extended. The management has actually listened to you, and time has actually been extended for this program. So I begin with you, Mr. Prizo, who you have been observing elections and you have been participating since in the 90s right up to date. What was so particular about this election? How will you also look at this election comparatively with other presidential elections?
Okay, thank you. I think what was peculiar to these elections was the stakes, which unfortunately the voters missed. Not only the voters, but almost the entire population. That is, we have the political parties, we have the civil society, media, and almost every actor that was involved. Because, in fact, if we could have carved, a certain number of stakes that we think were the most important thing to address or to focus on during these elections, I personally believe that we couldn't have had all these discussions which caused diversions. There are a number of topics that were brought in. There are a number of, words, statements that were brought in, but which actually did not have anything to do with an important election like this one. So it is unfortunate that people, were unstable, they were scattered, and pressure was coming from left and right, and then there was misinformation, and at the end of the day, we are where we are, waiting for the results that will certainly tell us who is the winner, and then we'll see what next to do, because that is not the last elections we are going through. There are going to be elections as long as there will be, if we say, political parties and democracy in our country. And I think for the moment, that's what I can say about.
Now, when you look at in the 90s, and some people say we are having a semblance of what happened in 1992 and this time. What was, if you look at what voters' participation as concerning this election, how do you rate it between 1992 and this election? And the euphoria. You said this one was mixed with a lot of misinformation.
Yes. In fact, let us say this. You know, democracy is not something people have just to take for granted. For there to be democracy in a country, there are a number of prerequisites through which, you know, people have to pass through before they will actually have a, you know, that type of democracy which is settled, which is solid, you know, which, you know, the occurrence can be, you know, free from quarrels and so on. I mean to say, for example, we have our electoral code today, which is not satisfactory to many, though people accept to go to the elections. So I think that there is a lot of education that has to be, you know, given to citizens so that they will be acquainted with what is multipartisan, what is politics, what is democracy.
So voters' education is really lacking?
Very, very lucky. Even that is both within the political parties and
the civil society.
The civil society, because if you look at the role which every single stakeholder has to play, you realize that, to me, there is a failure almost everywhere. So when you talk about you are talking about the improvement or the evolution of, you know, the voters, the participation, and so on. It is true that when you look at the amount of the population that were registered for these elections, there is an improvement in terms of numbers. That is true. There is no doubt about it. But when you look at the amount of participation, that is from 92 to today, you see that the populations are not giving the impression that they know what actually is all about elections. You have, you know, people who doubt about elections, about democracy, and that's the reason why, for example, when people are asked to go to register so that they will have their voters card and then participate in elections, you see that many are reluctant. Those who succeed to go, whenever the cards are established, you keep on telling people, go recover your cards. Many will not go.
And again, nothing will happen.
Yes, of course. That's what they are concluded. Yes, and then
that's what you are saying about voters' education.
Yes, of course. And then, you know, there is another aspect: the ability of individual Cameroonians to read through, you know, the profile of candidates, of those who want to, who are vying for their votes. The ability to reading their programs, and then trying to compare the proposals and the problems we have in the country, the current problem we have at the time that, precedes the elections. So when we look at all these things, we will realize that rather than giving to democracy its right place as far as, as far as governance, the leading of this country is concerned, almost nothing is done. We spend all our time, making speeches, insulting this one, demeaning, complaining of the electoral law, complaining about the government, but you cannot bring in any contribution in any business unless you can decide to at least withdraw and then examine what is happening. Examine yourself with your means, that is the means you have, maybe what you have as intrinsic values. What do you know about the country? What do you know about this? What do you know about that? Before you bring in concrete contributions. But unfortunately, if we look at what is happening today, let's take an example. You have people today who are going from one political party to the others. But what does that mean? What is the reason for that? Actually, what is the reason why people should leave from one party to the other? People are quarreling within political parties. People are quarreling among political parties. In fact,
political parties attacking another political party, vice versa.
Yes, and vice versa, which is not, when we look at what we call ethics, it doesn't work. And that is the reason why even choosing it, we are unable to draw, the image and the required qualities we expect from a candidate in Cameroon. We are unable to do that.
We're coming back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we're coming back to you. Let's get to Nick Ano, who is a member of the civil society. Nick Ano, when you look at this just ended 2025 presidential election, I know we have spoke about a lot before the elections could come, and what are your observations as compared to you witnessed from 2005 right up to 2018? How you first of all rate the participation of this election?
Yeah, my observation is starts right at the level of voters registration. This year there was a lot of euphoria at the level of registration. A lot of people, a lot of young people especially, got interested in politics, something that was not happening in the past years. A lot of people got registered, and then when it came to voting last Sunday, a lot of people went out to vote and to make sure that they observe what was happening at the polling centers. They make sure that they stayed there. From my observation, I move around in my areas, in many polling centers. I saw a lot of people who were there from morning to the evening to when the vote ended. The population was instead just increasing. So this shows that the elections of this year was something that most of us young people have not witnessed, because in 1992 most of us were not there, were babies. So we don't know what was happening. So
we just grew and read the history books.
Yeah. So this time around we're opportune to witness that that kind of political euphoria, people hungry for change, and you could saw by the numbers, the number of the participation. First of all, the voter apathy drastically reduced as compared to the past years. Yeah, because the past years a lot of voter apathy had been so high.
Like in 2018 we had 6 million registered voters, but just 3 million
voting.
voted.
Yeah. So this time around, even though we've not had the official data, we are still waiting on that. But from a cross examination or cross observation of what happened across the national territory, we can say that a lot of people voted as compared to 2018, which is a positive sign to our democracy, which is still a baby democracy that's still growing. And I think that if we put in the same energy, if the young people can be interested in the same energy, because at one point in time, they saw that staying back at home and not participating in the political process was not changing anything. It was instead getting things worse. So it's better you participate, and then something happened to it. At least you have something to justify that.
The moral ground.
Yes, at least you participated, rather than sitting in your corners in your home and then complaining that the CPDM has done this or has done that, and so on and so forth. But when you participate, at least your conscience is free that before you want to complain, you know that at least you participated for change. But it did not happen the way it happened, but at least you participated. It gives hope. And we are praying that at least this kind of euphoria should go into the other elections.
Very important elections coming in.
The municipal elections, parliamentary elections. That we should want to see young people going in for parliamentary elections. I think the age in Cameroon, the law talks of just 23 years, right? I think
yes.
21 years.
Yeah, 21 years to be a parliamentarian. Yeah, it should be 23 or 21 or 23 years, one of them. So I think young people should get more interested in going in for political posts, going to the parliament. We should not continue to allow the political terrain to the old people who have always been there. The old people, the ideology may not center around this generation, because this generation has its own ideology. It has its own intricacies that are not cognizance or in compliance with that of the old generation. We're in the digital age, and
the Gen Z way.
Yeah, Gen Z way. Yeah, and you see that most of the political change across most countries have been brought about by this Gen Z kind of generation, this Generation Z. And if we don't want to cite example, they are a force to reckon with in every country. And even the electoral law as bad as they are, if we can be able to go in en masse, because when it comes to something like parliamentary election, it's difficult to cheat.
Yeah, because the result are almost the next day. The result are the next day.
It's difficult to cheat when a lot of people come out and vote. If they come out as they came out during this presidential election, you will see that a lot of people who merit to be parliamentarian will actually be. Because it will be difficult for all this process of 1 week of going through one stage to another, where a lot of things can happen along the line. All of that will be eliminated. And you saw young people, the excitement they had in the voting, the counting process.
The social media was booming with a lot of political animations.
Yeah, it is something that has never really happened in Cameroon, and it is something to be grateful for. And we are just hoping that what they voted, what people voted in the polling units, the polling station, should be what they are expecting to see. We're hoping that so that people should not be frustrated, and we're just hoping that the Constitutional Council, the National Vote Counting Commission, everybody who is involved in the electoral process should do the right thing, and we hope that they do the right thing and give us what we obtain, because we know the results, we know what we voted at the polling units, and we are expecting that at least that is what we should have at the national level.
Now, I want to ask you this question: what lessons have political what lessons should political parties learn from this just ended presidential election from all the political parties.
Yeah, but from all the political parties, you have to, first of all, with the main political parties like the bigger forces that were to reckon within these elections, first of all, with the political party in power, the CPDM, they have to learn that you saw that it was a fierce battle for them, even though we've not known the winner, we've not known who will carry the day at the end, but they did not find it easy as they used to be in the past. Elections to them, sometime in the past, used to be like a walk in the park.
Well, because of low voter pattern.
They know that really in the election they're going in, they will just win. But this time around, there was a lot of panic within their circles, and I think they're going to learn a great lesson, and they're going to learn a greater lesson from this election to see that when it comes to election, it's not something you just joke with and then assume. As compared to the opposition parties, they have a lot of lesson to learn. We were singing here before the elections that they should go in for a coalition. Many of them, they blast our opinion, and they went in individually. They did not hear anything.
They said they had what it takes.
They told us that they had what it takes to cover all the polling units across the country. But some of us were surprised that even within the urban centers, they could not have representatives at the polling unit, which it gave us to that doubt that what kind of preparation were they preparing, because it just gives us some kind of ideas that we don't know what was happening in the background, why they could not form a coalition, because they didn't know that politics or election is a game of numbers, and they know very well that they don't have the numbers, and it was just for them to form these alliances. Alliances are normal in every political setting. You form alliance so that where you are weak, you are complemented by somebody who is stronger, and so on and so forth. So, but most of these the political parties, we saw a lot of egocentrism within them, basing their ideologies within their political rank or their political parties. That is not of our interest. Our interest at this election was national interest, not party interest. Many of them focus on their party interest, their individual interest, than their national interest. That's why you will see the kind of result they're going to have. That's why from the raw data, you will see that many of them are nowhere to be found. And it's just a reflection of their selfishness, because if they had formed these strong alliances, the elections would not have been at this level. At least we will have seen a stronger and a fierce battle during the voting process. And it will have encouraged more people to come out and vote. Yeah, people just had to form their own kind of alliance around their own chosen person. They did just a coalition of voters, which is something that was just like the last resort to the voters. They had nothing to
the voters decided not to go politically, but move to what they think that was necessary.
Yes.
Okay, let me take on this message before coming to my father here, Pizzo. Good afternoon, Mr. Taha Jarvis. The opposition candidates for the presidential race failed us by first failing to unite. First for change before manifesto. Our leaders should learn that unity is strength, and together we stand, and divided we fall. They will be held responsible for any outcome of the result of this election. Alfred, writing from a Kondo Titi. And this other one it says, happy Sunday to you guys. Thanks for coming on board. I think that our opposition parties have failed us, and in the upcoming municipal and legislative election, we will sanction them. Those who said they had the numbers to win the election. We were at the level where we needed not agenda, but we just needed one agenda. That was to remove those who have been there for long. And that is why we are saying that any party that refused coalition should be aware that the municipal and legislative election it's time that we shall pay them back. Regardless of who wins the election, we are going to vote, and we are going to mobilize a lot of youth to actually vote for the upcoming election. This is coming from Joan. And this one from Bamenda. It says, happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. I think political parties should learn from the CPDM. They should understand that it's all about doing the work and not just having elites who will come and sing their praise. I think that the elites for 7 years disappointed their people. On the other hand, also disappointed Paul Biya, who thought their elites were there to actually deliver. The elites have shown that they have failed, and so it is time for the parties to look for new and younger elites whom they can come up with and empower them. On the side of the opposition, unity is what they should have looked for. For example, Javid, you hear the PCRN tells you that they had what it takes to win the election. You hear the SDF told you that they had what it takes to win the election. You also heard from Tamaino Damjuya that over 40 political parties are into a coalition with her. And you also heard the SDF. So with all this, what will be the outcome? My only issue is that we, the youth, have identified our new political party, which is the Achu Soup color. That is where we shall all go to for municipal. Okay, thank you very much. We'll stop there for now. We'll take the messages later. Mr. Prizo, you are hearing from, these are voters who these are younger people who are expressing their mind. You are laughing, your reaction?
Yes, it makes me laugh, obviously, because you see, most of those who talk about, most of the youths who talk about politics, they are not involved anyway. They spend all their times, having arguments by the sidewalk, maybe in an off license or where they are in their groups, but they do not actively take part to the political game. And that is one of the main problems we have. So said, I want to come back, permit me, there are a number of things which were mentioned. Like, first, you were talking about the fact that this year, during the last election, people were enthusiastic. And this is the same thing that happened in 1992. In 1992, because the idea Cameroonians had in those days was that there should be a change of the executive in our country. People moved in numbers. I was here, I came here, by then I was posted in Adamawa in Tibati, but I came here in Douala the very day they launched the civil disobedience and ghost towns. Mm-hmm. People moved, people came out, and when they organized the elections, the population came in to vote. But yet, what happened between that time and now? What happened is, first of all, the voters were discouraged by the leaders of political parties. You remember very well that during the first municipal and parliamentary elections, the opposition won the elections, all of them together. But now, some political parties, notably MDR, decided to move to the CPDM. Now, no, Dakuri Daisala. They had about, I think, 5 or 6 parliamentarians.
Okay.
But now, people will say, okay, they were bribed and so on. No, that's not true. The reason why they left is a kind of socio-anthropological reason. That's why they didn't accept to join. And I think it is important for us to understand that these are the kind of issues which, set barriers between political parties. Then, beside that, I don't know whether you are aware of the fact that the current president of the FSNC, Chiroma Bakari, is the first person to leave and join the CPDM, and then there was a break with him.
He left from NUDP.
NUDP.
Yes.
And even before then, I don't know whether you heard what happened.
There was also
with Eboa.
There was also
Eboa
I
was
think,
the president.
Yeah, there was also another person that also left NUDP. I think that is Daikolo Daisala. Somebody left NUDP also and went and formed his own party. There were Chuma and that person. I've forgotten the name.
Amadou Mustafa.
Yeah, Amadou Mustafa. Yes.
ANDP.
Yes, Amadou Mustafa left also
now,
and went and formed his
you
own
see,
party.
all these behaviors contributed to demobilize the people. That's why you began hearing people saying that, oh, what do we have to do with elections? That nothing will change. Because you cannot support people today, you cast your vote, in their favor, and then tomorrow they abandon you.
They share the vote.
Yes. It is not, that is, it is out of place. It is immoral. Let me say that. So all this mishandling of political parties and political issues in the country led the citizen to a stalemate. People did not know where to go.
Apathy.
Yes, that's the reason. People should know that. And again, Nick mentioned something about the participation this year, but I want to mention this. I didn't go everywhere. But what happened in some of these centers, these polling centers, is that you had people who came in the morning, they voted, and they did not leave the place, which made some people to think that almost everybody who was registered voted. But that wasn't the truth, because in our center, when you gather all the results, I think there were about 12 polling units. You see that in some of them, less than 50% voted. In some, when the highest number was about 52% of voters who took part effectively. So I wanted to bring all these things out so that we should know that the responsibility is not only on the political parties. You see, the desire for change was, a national desire. Even within the CPDM, you saw some people leaving the party and saying that no, they are fed up with the system, and then there must be a change. But unfortunately, people did not understand what they had to do. They did not decide. You mentioned also something you mentioned something sooner when you were talking, and I think Nick repeated it. This the coalition of voters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Who tried to develop that concept? Nobody. Because the coalition of voters.
We had heard people calling for coalition of voters. Professor Victor Julius Gore, at one point in time, called for the coalition of voters. We have heard a lot of people saying that, okay, that was before the election, that voters should be the one to form their coalition. And the Union for Change also was talking about the coalition of voters.
No, they were not talking about coalition of voters. They were talking about coalitions of political parties. That it is that we should understand. Those are two things: coalition of voters and coalition of political parties. It is very, very important, because I personally mentioned it also. And what I was trying to say is that if the bulk, or let's say the majority of the people, decide to cast their votes for the younger people, considering the fact that at least there are a number of what can I say? There are a number of let's say conditions or requirements, let it be so, which these guys fulfilled. You understand? This coalition could have moved behind them. They could have looked at the situation from the point of view that, for example, you have some who have had an experience, who are leaders of political party, who are elected, and so on. I think that would have been sound to understand than just to decide that, okay, because they refuse to come together, then we are not good. No.
Yeah, but don't also forget that. Don't also forget that the voters were observant. They knew what was happening on ground. They knew, especially within the campaign period, most of the young people you're mentioning were nowhere to be found. Their campaign were as if they were doing family meetings and campaigning for family meetings or village meetings. They did not have that national touch. So you could not expect the voters to form a coalition behind those people.
Please, Nick, let Papi Zolan.
The population was manipulated.
How?
Yes, seriously manipulated. And you know that I cannot, it's not, I'm not inventing it. If you go to the social media, even some of the TV houses, radios and so on.
How were they manipulated?
Yeah, but they were giving wrong information, trying to, you know, there are some radios, some TV stations where you see people discussing and talking about a specific political party, insulting, saying they cannot do this, they don't have, they have done this. You heard even calling some people famous, and that is why, that's the reason why at the end of the day, we heard about the Pope of Law. We heard about the good devil. We heard about, like, I don't know whether I mentioned it here, but I began mentioning it earlier. Maybe my voice wasn't resounding. Because you see, I brought up something around the month of, I think, August. I told people that the reason why we are found in this situation where the president is about becoming a candidate is because in the CPDM, they have made him a god. First thing. And you know, when they have made you a god, you become what? You become blind, because it's idolatry. We know it very well. And that is the same thing that happened when Mr. Kamto came. Rather than addressing the issue properly, they began telling us about the Pope of Law, because maybe beside him, nobody else knew, you know, what is all about the law. And where did we end? At a time they say he's a great strategist. No, we didn't need all these things. We had to focus on what has to be done until a priest, I don't know whether it's the Archbishop, said that even if it's a devil. How can a bishop say even if it's a devil?
It was a metaphor. A metaphoric way of explaining.
No, you see, there are situations where you
like Famdo Gozo also was explaining that the grandeur is a kind of, it's not something you can actually, it's some kind of...
Don't hear those people. Don't hear those metaphors. They cannot work in a situation like this. You don't use them. You don't use them. It is just like the priest was saying that even if there should be emptiness, it is better than... No. They had to choose. He could have said that even if it is a babe, let him be there. Rather than to say the devil is, whether it's good or bad, the devil is a devil. You cannot take a devil to come and lead people. It is not possible. And people are, you know, bragging.
Is a priest, so he can easily deliver a devil. If a devil takes over,
deliver who? They have been the Catholic Church has been talking about, you know, late Cardinal Tumi talked about this. Even Monsignor Kleda, he has been talking about it. What have they done?
You talked about the fact that young voters were probably misinformed.
Yes.
And by so doing,
manipulated. They were manipulated.
Now, you said they were manipulated at the different radio station, media organs, and the rest. But I want to ask a question. in all media organs, like
Mhm.
our own here, all the political parties are evenly invited to also come and
true.
explain their values. Why is it that the others had stronger values than the ones you say had the better one? And secondly, my question
Okay.
is, when you look at the campaigns that Nick was talking about, let's also look at the Grand North. How many movements did you people do at the Grand North?
Our leader went to the Grand North. Not
Movement. I'm
To-
talking about movement.
movements how?
Because we look at, okay, let's take the Grand North, we'll take the Northwest and Southwest and all the 10 regions. Because you were talking about national campaigns.
Yes.
That you need to target all the levels. It's not just you
No.
campaigning on some areas.
No, except I think the southwest, the south region, and
You have the South, you have the Northwest, you have the Southwest.
Our leader went to the north, far north, Adamawa. He was here in Littoral Central region, the east region. The south. So only about 2 regions were not, consistently visited.
And
That
the
is
most,
southwest.
the most
and
important
northwest.
regions, because we are looking at the cultural, like you explained the issue of
Yes.
culture.
Yes. Now, let me. The reasons why we could not go to the northwest, for example, was because of the political situation there. But in the southwest, it is due to the fact that there was a program that was made before time, and then there are some issues that came up, and then they decided to reshuffle the entire program. That's why the leader did not go to the southwest, but he had planned to go there, and he went to.
I think he went to Boya. I think I saw him in Boya.
He went northward at least 3 times.
The North.
Yes, Betua, Ngaundere, Garua, Marua. 3 times within, I think, 2 months. Before even the campaign was launched, he went there. He had gone there twice. He has had meetings with the people, public meetings and so on. So it is not just like it didn't move. But let me tell you, as I told you, I mentioned earlier, there are elements of bias that generally cause people to make a choice, not because it is the right choice, but just because, well, they think that if I have to choose somebody, he must be from my region. If I have to choose somebody, it is because he has a relationship with this person or the other.
That is normal in politics.
See, and this is a serious problem in our country, and that is why you see that if you look at political parties, you understand. If you take the SDF, the NUDP, you take the UDC, UPC, you realize that their population is dwindling. As years pass, their population is dwindling. If you look at the amount of parliament, the UPC, for example, do they have any single parliamentarian today? They do not have. But in the big, they do not have who? They have a senator who was appointed. He was appointed. But who was elected there? But in the beginning, they had, I think, about 25 parliamentarians.
Yeah, but we have so many factions of the UPC, first of all. So it's
yes,
very,
but that's why I told you that the problem, one of the problems is the management. How do you run the political party? You understand? The advantage of the CPDM is because the CPDM uses the state means. That's all. You see, for example, by the general statutes of the civil service, a civil servant can adhere into a party. but he should not show it publicly. But when you look at with the CPDM, you see that it is the civil servants who campaign for the CPDM, which is not normal. Publicly, which is not normal. And these are some of the loopholes of what we call democracy in our country.
Okay. Now, you talked about the fact that manipulation was at the center and that CPDM used its own resources. But how come at the end of this election cycle, two candidates were just being dominant? You had the CPDM and you had the other from the FSNC. Despite the fact that all the other political parties, is it not because the other political parties that you say were not manipulative did not actually have the resources necessary?
No,
because can manipulation go without resources? Can propaganda go without resources?
No, let me say this clearly. You see, I told you about the stakes. Manipulations can be there. And there were manipulations. People were manipulated. There are details, many details about that. I told you there are political parties that mounted, a kind of defamation plan against some of the political, some leaders. You could see that through the social media, even during some panels around the country. You hear some of these, those who call consultants, most of the time. They spend all their time insulting, political parties, saying this and that. But what I want to say here, which is very clear to us, is that the problem is not about the money. The problem is about the stakes. What is the problem? What do we want? And you stick on that. The problem that came up here is because it was like when people were going to the elections, some people rose a kind of condition that if you do not come together, we are not going to vote you. And definitely, at the last minute, they had to make a choice by default.
They were wrong.
I think they were wrong. Do you know why? Let me tell you. When you are elected, you are accountable to the people who elected you. You are accountable. So people should be very attentive to that. If I vote you, you are accountable to me. It is not because I ask you to do this or that and you do not do that, that I will say, okay, I will leave. No. Else, people will continue doing that every day. And that is what has happened from the beginning. People were, how the SDF got broken.
Yeah.
Yes. That's not how things have to be done. Besides that, I want to add something else. One of the difficulties of the political parties were that the younger people, were asking for scrutinies. I sent a message and I told people that the day of the 12th is like a day of sacrifice. Sacrifice. If you really desire that there should be a change, offer that day to be part of the scrutinies for a political party.
For a polling unit.
Yes. Just for there to be, fairness at the end. At least when there are very few polling stations where you had 5 scrutinies beside the 2 representatives of Lekam and so on. There were very few. So that was also a problem. But do you know why? Because some of these guys were asking for money. They were saying that, and they made it clear that it is a payment. I had to deal with two guys who told me that for them to be scrutinized for a political party, they told them that they are going to give them 20,000 francs per person. And that is one of the reasons why you see, if you find out outside, you hear that some of the scrutinees decided to withhold
the results
until
they are paid.
And so, you see, when I'm talking about education,
but will you blame them?
No,
because
on
you
the
just
12th.
explained that.
On the 12th.
You just explained that in the 90s, the reason why voters got discouraged was because they voted and some people went and divided their vote. So now the people are saying that instead of we to go and vote and divide our vote, better pay us, let us eat our own share.
Okay. Then you see, then you don't want to change. Then you don't want to change.
Okay.
To me, I think you see at the time.
Coming back to you. Let me take a message for good to Lake. Happy Sunday, Jarvis. Thank you for this program. I just want to ask, where is the most senior barrister, Ashu Emmanuel? I was hoping to vote for him, but I saw no trace of him and I don't have his number. Okay, thank you very much. I cannot tell you where he is at the moment. Good afternoon to you all in the studio and happy Sunday. Please, I want to tell Pa talking that he has said something he is hiding. He's hiding. That he has to say something that is hiding. Cameroonians are watching. Okay, I don't know what you are saying that he's hiding something, but this other one, right? He says, he said, good afternoon, sir. The man with eyeglass is not helping us do anything. He should, okay, he's not helping us do anything. That's, you're talking about the fact that, okay, this other one says, happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. Political parties, opposition still have a long way to go. But for me, I think this election taught me to understand that we voters can form our own bloc and decide who we vote for. It has also made me to understand that the voters have the power and not the political parties. That if the political parties decided to go financially, we the voters will hold them accountable at the ballot. Mr. Jarvis, you could see why we were voting for the parties that we were voting for. Many people, if you ask them the name of the full name of Chiuma's party, they will not tell you. They were just voting because they know that probably he may have the numbers that could have done the magic. So my appeal to opposition parties is that they should keep away political ideology and focus on what the people want. At the moment, the people wanted to remove the 43 years regime, but they failed us by not coming together. So we decided to come together at the polling unit and voted. So they should accept the outcome and they should know that in the next election, we will abandon them. Okay. Let me take on the SMS. Happy Sunday to you. I'm enjoying the program. My issue is Serge Espoir Matomba did not come to Boya and did not go to Northwest and Southwest. Please ask Pa, is it that he has abandoned the Anglophones and want to come and be president only for those who are in the 8 regions, or does he have plans to resolve the Anglophone crisis? Thank God that I voted the popular way. This is Noel. Briefly,
okay.
So I'm on that question.
Okay, no, I told you, what is his name again? Okay, the answer is that, as I told you, there was a change of our, program while moving across the country. And then in Northwest, as I said, we didn't go there because of security reasons. But, by the way, I want him to know that, it's true that a good amount of people from Northwest, voters from Northwest, decided to choose Issa Chiroma. But I really want to question their choice, because you see, I mentioned something, ethics.
How you question their choice when your candidate did not even go and talk to them?
Ethics, you understand? The relationship which the population have had with this candidate. And that is why we say often, somebody of my age, I say, okay, when you make your choice, be ready to assume the responsibility, you understand? Because if I do any wrong to you, even from our cultural ground, you understand? I don't just come and tell you that, okay, forgive me, because all that I was doing, I was,
You have not answered his question. Now you are not looking at
No. I'm not saying.
His question was, why is it that your candidate did not come to the Northwest and Southwest?
I told you that because, first of all, Northwest, it is because of the security reason. And in Southwest, not all of them.
Yes, others.
Not of them.
Even if it is one person.
No, excuse me. And then the other reason was that there was a reshufflement of
the program.
That is, he made a lot of emphasis northwards. I told you, he went to Betua, to the east, Adamawa, North and Fano.
Which means he was looking at the biggest voting bloc.
Yes. That can happen, every political party decides,
of course,
to make its own.
But that's why this person is worried that you are now faulting them that they are voting, they are voting for a political party, a particular candidate.
I have to answer it. I have to answer that.
Forgetting it's ethics.
No. Ethics is very, very important.
But it's relative too, eh?
Yes, it's relative. But you see, you mentioned something about the which problem did you talk about? The Anglophone problem?
Yes.
No, I want to assure him that we have a better approach of that problem than the person to whom.
But you did not go and tell him the approach you have.
Excuse me, the approach is not going to Bamenda. The approach is not going to Bamenda. You remember very well that at the time, people were requesting that the head of state should come to Bamenda. That will not solve the problem. You see,
the head of state sent delegations to Bamenda.
No, but
he
what
sent
have
the
they
prime
done?
minister to Bamenda.
Prime minister have gone there how many times? The other man,
yes,
did he solve the problem?
Yeah, but at least that is an effort. The issue that this voter is asking is that, okay, let's go by the premise you have raised about the fact that the head of state himself has never been to Bamenda, but he has sent somebody. The question also would have been, did your candidate send someone to represent them in the Northwest and Southwest to explain that this is the vision I have for the Anglophone crisis, so that they don't just hear from a hearsay perspective?
No, we before the elections, you understand, we have already expressed what we think has to be done to solve the crisis. That is clear. It is not because we had to go there for a meeting that we will have to expose, what we think to be the solution. But nevertheless, we had a representative in the Northwest through Enric, is the regional coordinator. Now, what is important is, if I may say something.
Yes, so I get to Nick.
Yeah, you see, to me, I want to tell you honestly that as somebody who has had an experience in the through system of education, who have lived and who have read the history and so on, what I want to say is we cannot continue talking about the Anglophone problem without spelling it out clearly, because when a problem is not spelled out clearly, then you are working in a vacuum. And I want to say so because I have sufficient information about the history of Cameroon from before the protectorate treaty was signed. And that is why I said it, and I keep on saying it. You see, history, when you talk about history is meant to tell you where you came from. Excuse me, no, I'm cutting it short. I'm finishing.
You get to answer the question.
No, this is to tell you the ground on which we are going to address the issue. So briefly, just about 15 seconds. So we know where we are coming from, we know where we are, and where should we go. That is the issue. And when they talk about Cameroon, the country, the nation, what we think is to address all the problems at once. Because whatever problem occurs in any part of this country, the entire community is concerned. So we cannot be continuing to move as there is a problem, Anglophone problem. There is no. We have to. That is why we are talking about an inclusive dialogue that include all the Cameroonians into solving. Cameroonians move everywhere. There are people from Northwest who live in the north, in Adamawa, and everywhere.
That's not an issue.
So all of these things.
Back to you, Daddy.
What we have to do is to gather all these, elements and then address the entire problem, so that everybody will be.
Make your reaction.
Yeah, let me just react to what he said about the Anglophone. I think their party has one of the worst solutions. One of the worst and unpragmatic solution to address the Anglophone issue. If they are talking like this, they can never. They will instead, if you read it very well, you will see that they will instead create more problems. They will instead cause another Anglophone problem. If they want to really be sincere that they want to solve.
Do you know their
problem.
solution?
Their solution is like wanting to disappear the concept of Francophone and Anglophone in Cameroon. I think that's the bone of contention, if I'm not wrong.
Do you have an identity mentioning that you're an Anglophone?
No.
Do I have an identity mentioning that I'm Francophone, Anglophone?
That's being unrealistic. No. We are talking about the socio-political situation and cultural situation of the country. Socio-politically, we are identified on a daily basis as Anglophone and Francophone.
In the concept of a modern day state.
Yes, of a modern day state. And that is not a problem. And that is not peculiar to Cameroon. We have to accept that.
Canada,
we are not a multi...
No, it's different. Canada is a different place.
We are not how can I say, a unilingual country or a unit cultural country. That you will say that all of us think the same way. Cameroon is not like a Douala, where you think that the culture of Douala is the same. We are a multi-nation. We're a multi-nation where each and every tribe,
a combination of different countries.
Different countries together.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. When King Bear and King Aqua signed the treaty, the German they not signed it for the entire Cameroon.
It was for Douala.
It was for Douala because the German also signed respective treaties across all the different communities they went to.
So so if you have that kind of approach, it's like you are trying to erase the scars of history. The scars of history cannot be erased in this kind of nation. It is difficult to do that. It may be progressive, but you cannot erase the scars of history, what happened to us. But how do we ameliorate what happened to us for us to live together? As you say, that Anglophones, Francophones living everywhere, same to like Nigerians and other African nationality live in Cameroon. You cannot solve the Anglophone. There's a peculiar Anglophone problem in Cameroon that has generated to a civil conflict or an armed conflict that we're facing. We are talking about solving that particular problem first.
What is it?
And you leave that particular problem. You are talking about that we are not supposed to say that we have an Anglophone identity or Francophone identity because they are colonial in nature and so on and so forth. That is just a superficial way of looking at trying to. That in fact is just like sweeping the problem under the carpet and reducing the magnitude of it. You can never solve the Anglophone problem with that. The concept of Anglophone and Francophone as a socio-political and cultural situation in Cameroon is a reality. You cannot erase that. We have to ameliorate and look for practical ways in which we can solve that problem and then live together as a nation, and not downplaying the fact that it is a colonial heritage and so on and so forth. The concept of a modern state, except you want to say that we'll go back to the traditional state,
which is now going to further break the country into two, because
each kingdom,
because the issue is, I want to you continue. The issue is there is a nuance where people don't understand on the historical perspective that once before the arrival of the German, each kingdom within Cameroon operated autonomously.
Yeah, of course.
And that was why Herwet could annex Victoria. And that's why the people of the Bayan could resist the Germans. So treaties were signed as they were going from kingdoms to kingdoms to kingdoms,
yeah.
and decided now to bring in a kind of system where they can join administer all these kingdoms as one,
Yeah.
and which now brought the German Cameroon. Now, which means that in terms of the contextual modern day state now, we say, okay, this is the president, this is where, because if you ask who was the president of Cameroon before 1884, what currency they were using before 1884?
Cameroon was not even a country.
No, excuse me.
All of these protectorate were economically based. They were signing this treaty for economic interest and not even for the political interest. They saw that just unifying, and it's not even common to Cameroon. They saw that just bringing these kingdoms together will give them a greater economic
And Nigeria
advantage.
is facing the same problem.
Yeah, Nigeria is facing the same problem.
Yes, Nigeria is facing the same problem.
And Nigeria had 3 protectorates. They came and amalgamated them into one country. And it is not working. All of these things are not working. Meanwhile, there were so 3 different countries. It's not working.
The Germans were in Nigeria.
I'm not talking
No,
about
the British. We are looking at the same,
Yeah,
the same
but
situation where
they weren't protectorates, please.
What were they?
No. The protectorate were a system used by the Germans. And again, I heard you talking about the kingdoms. I didn't argue about that. Do you know how many treaties were signed by the Germans with the kingdoms in Cameroon?
Of course. If you want to even go about
Excuse
that,
me,
is the name Cameroon not a colonial name?
Excuse me.
Is the name Cameroon
Excuse
an
me.
indigenous name?
Excuse me, it's not because of that. You see, let us be clear. You said you addressed the problem as if I was not.
I'm challenging your party's position
you made it
to
like
solving the Anglophone problem.
No, excuse me. There were 95 treaties that were signed. 95. And I have a book on that. I will tell it. You can read it. Or I can direct you without any publicity. Go to Africa Veni. There are a lot of documentation there. You can find all those things. And you see, sometimes when we are saying things, we do not just say them because we are common citizens, but we also do say a number of things from our, let's say our professional academic background. You understand? Nick was trying to say that I was trying to wipe or
the scars of history,
all those things. You see, when I want to address a problem concerning Cameroon, before I go out to take an example, I must have exhausted, all the resources that we have from within. I told you, history is to tell us where we came from, where we are, and what we can do to go ahead if we have to be together. And the way we want to address the issue is by considering that, first of all of us are Cameroonians. All of us are Cameroonians. So we are bound by destiny to live together. I told you earlier, most time you see I'm very, I'm very humble. I don't like to sometimes mentioning my background.
Yeah, but you are saying that all of us are Cameroonian. Nobody has disputed
now,
the fact.
now,
what they are disputing is the mannerism in which the operational procedure. For example, you will not also erase the fact that you will not erase the fact that there was the Forman Conference that acknowledged the Anglophone and the Francophone culture, or the English-speaking culture. That was why it accumulated to West Cameroon.
Excuse me.
And why was that done? You also not equate the fact that from Achirimbi, which was at the time, was there to stress the fact that French Cameroon is fire while Nigeria is water.
Yes.
So you cannot erase this history by claiming that nobody is disputing the Cameroonianness.
We do not have enough time, you see. This is a question that I cannot just address within some few minutes. And I did some work, and the conclusion I brought in, or I wrote down, is that the history of Cameroon should no longer be, like in school, should not just be a subject as it is today. In fact, after giving materials to the students, rather than asking them questions about dates, let them give let the examiners or the board give them an opportunity to reflect and tell what they think about all the information they had.
Okay, let us situate you into context. What was the plan your candidate had in resolving the Anglophone crisis?
But I told you that, first of all, to resolve the problem, very first thing, we have all to consider that we are Cameroonians. We must have single identity. Why? Because in any dispute you're involved, in anything in your life you're involved, the way out depend on your identity.
I have the perception that you are trying to confuse between the Anglophone crisis and the Ambazonian crisis.
No.
Because nobody has disputed the fact that none of the Anglophones agitators, even the Federalists, did not say that they were not Cameroonians. They have accepted your first premise that yes, we are Cameroonians.
No, excuse me. You see, if you keep on saying that I'm a Francophone, I'm an Anglophone, it is just like you are trying to demean the fact that you are a Cameroonian. Yes, you are trying to erase it.
How? We are saying that in the context of Cameroon.
Listen. Because being an Anglophone is what? It's just the fact that you speak English.
Okay, no, you come from the English-speaking region. Okay,
even in context, you understand? You have to mention it differently. When you say, you hear people saying that they are from an Anglo-Saxon culture.
Have you looked at the definition of what a Cameroonian is in the Constitution? In the 1996 Constitution, it stated that a Cameroonian is either someone born at the time of independence from West Cameroon, or from the East Cameroon. It's there in the Constitution. So are you saying that the Constitution itself,
listen to me,
and that provision of the definition of Cameroon,
you have to internalize it.
But nobody has
that is not even a problem.
No, it's a serious problem.
It's not a problem.
It's a serious problem because what you think within yourself determine, how our discussion will flow. If you tell me that, for example, you are a Nigerian, I am from, Burkina Faso, we are going to address the issue as a Nigerian and somebody a Burkinabe. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if we are to address the problem, we have to consider that, first of all, we are people of the same nation. And now, you put on the table, what are your complaints?
Yes,
what are your grievances?
You are dancing. The question is, okay, yes, let us assume that we are all Cameroonians. Yes. What is the next step?
Okay, now, we have to write down all the issues which makes us knock our heads. First of all, let me tell you, we have economic issues. We have the issue of, we have the language, or let's say the culture in general. You have language, you have the system of education, the judicial system. Those are, I think, the main three issues when you talk about...
Yeah, the bicultural and the bijurial and the educational.
Yes, those are the three issues. And then you add the economic, as I told you. Okay? Then when you read, there is a book written by Professor Julius Ngo. Okay? The title is...
Cameroon since 1800.
Something like that.
Cameroon since 1800.
Read it very well.
I've read it back to back.
Yeah. Read it very well. You are going to see that one of the reasons, or some of the reasons why we are found where we are, is that when, after the reunification, the challenges of Cameroon were first to be a nation that has to be, enlisted within the UN as a country. Second aspect of it was that economically they had to build, a common ground.
I don't know if you're answering my question.
No, I'm answering your question.
My question is, what are the practical steps you are going to solve? Because, for example, the CBN, the president, the government tells you that I have organized a major national dialogue. I have recruited 1,000 bilingual teachers. I have redeployed teachers to their region of origin. I have done this. I will do this. I have do that. I have created the DTR center and demobilization. This is to enable people to drop their weapons. I have created the reconstruction. The committee of reconstruction is to reconstruct. Inside Chiroma Party tells you that I will liberate this. I will first of all have this process. I will have this. Kabra DB says I will do this communal liberalism. I will do this. We are asking pragmatic solutions.
Pragmatic? No, when I'm talking about economy, it is because we have to assure we have to make sure that all Cameroonians, from wherever they are, they enjoy the resources of this country equally. The redistribution should be even. It is not like it's. You see, it is not like it is. No. It's my dear friend, this is a very, very important issue.
We're talking about
if we have
identity
to,
crisis.
It's okay. Let's parallel. My problem is the viewers are watching. They said they need to understand the practical steps in which it would have been taken. In summary,
you see.
But
what do you want? What do they? You see,
I'll give you that of other political parties.
Economically,
yes.
You understand? If we have an even distribution of our resources in this country, many people will not have again to talk about, oh, you are favoring this person, you are not favoring the other one. Every single Cameroonian has to have access, and this is practical. It's not something that has to be something which is philosophical. And the other thing I want to tell you is that, for example, you have languages. We should not take languages. We inherited of two European languages. We do not have to take them as tools to divide ourselves. Rather, what we have to do is to consider that for our betterment, all Cameroonians should learn French and English, because wherever we go, and it is said almost all over the world, that when Cameroonian comes, you have the possibility that when you want to translate anything, you can count on a Cameroonian. That is an advantage to us. But not only that, there are so many other issues. I think the program is not. We do not have a lot of time, and I will not want to monopolize. I understand that you see.
But let me read on some messages.
Yes.
You can briefly learn.
Yes.
So that,
yeah, I understand that. I've understood it. You see, most of Cameroonians are focused on individual satisfaction. They are not interested by general satisfaction. When you want to bring a solution for general community, people will tell you that no.
Okay.
And this is a serious loophole.
Briefly.
Thank you.
Briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Nick, very briefly, Nick. Sorry. Very briefly. What my question was and is that what would have been the practical modalities, or what did your candidate have as practical modalities? In summary, for example, the President Biya's party said the president organized a major national dialogue, released some prisoners. The president created a forum where interministerial forum. The president created disarmament, demobilization center. The president created this. The president created that. This is to address the situation. The next issue is to go to SDF. SDF says, this is what I will do. I will call for a dialogue. I will release this. I will do this. I will do this. This is summary. What does not have time to go to the historical perspective?
I mentioned to you that in our plans, first of all, is to organize an inclusive dialogue.
Yeah, that was what the
I mentioned it. I mentioned it. Excuse me. I mentioned it about 2 times. I mentioned it. You understand? Now the problem is the content of the consultation. Is the content, and we think that we are going to give room to everybody to lay down his problems, and then we assess them before we decide. We will not just say we are going to do this, we are going to do that. No, that's not how you address a national problem.
Will the dialogue be inclusive?
I told you that it's
will you
an
be open
inclusive.
will you
It
be
is an
open to
inclusive.
invite the separatist leaders who are out of the country?
Anyway, let me
to
just
your dialogue table?
Nick, let's take on some messages. Good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis, and happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. Jarvis, I was told when I was little that, okay, but I can see that, okay, how can his candidate fail to go to the Northwest during campaigns to tell the people what they can offer? Instead, he's trying to justify to tell us the Anglophone that if his candidate was voted ahead of the as head of state, then Northwest and Southwest will be the was abandoned area in Cameroon. It is really terrible. This is Uncle Charles from Bonamusadi. Uncle Charles from Bonamusadi. This other one, right? He says, "Hi Jarvis, I'm enjoying your program from Kongsamba. Please tell Pa that PUs should not bother campaigning in the two English-speaking regions because they have the worst approach in solving the Anglophone crisis. Anything that does not recognize the sovereignty of the state of Southern Cameroon, which can only exist with French Cameroon under sake of terms and respect of, has fallen short badly, and therefore should not be even mentioned." This is coming from, he said, even FSNC should, okay, thank you very much. This all right, he says, happy Sunday. Okay, this one says, good afternoon, Jarvis, and to all you in the studio, please help me tell that with okay he went further to say that Issa Chiruma Bakari, whom we have chosen without doubt, that is the bone of contention right now. So please tell him, because he is not making us understand this. He started by talking about about the issue of history. We do not need it now, diverting from people's choice because we didn't choose theirs. Tell him Cameroonians are watching. This is from Bonaberry. I am Elvis writing from Bonaberry. This other right, he says, good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis and the invitees on set. I am happy to this program. Tell those politicians on set that they have shown the voters the best side they belong, and we have taken no return. Let them stay with their party. They claim to be their property. This is the voters. This greetings, Jarvis and panelists. The program is good, but okay, Senorita from Yaoundé, your message is gotten. Okay, this one says, good afternoon, Jarvis. Tama Jarvis. My own observation, your panelist is not ready to educate the public about Matumba. Is the one of those politicians who just wanted to okay, and their party, let other opposition parties support. Okay, Chiruma, thank you very much for your message. Greetings to you all in the studio. All these man really don't have, okay, offer Cameroonians. We Anglophone voted for the person we believe he can hear our cry. You didn't go to Northwest because you do not have anything to offer to the people. Okay, this one says, good afternoon, Jarvis. Your panelists does not have facts about the population. I mean the one, okay, John writing from Bafoussam. Okay, John writing from Bafoussam. This other one says, please, where you are writing us, make it very short and simple, and go straight to the point. We don't receive calls. This one says, good afternoon, sir. We should not more talking about vote because okay, good afternoon, sir. I can tell you that I Issa Chiruma, going to Bamenda and beg for forgiveness. Even you that have a child, when the child do something and you still come to still come for forgiveness, you must forgive that child. Thank you very much. This one is also, this one says, Mr. Jarvis, we have chosen our party. We the youth now know that we only have one opposition party in Cameroon. Before we were doubting Issa Chiruma's party, we thought it was an arm of the government. It is now clear that it was the only opposition party we had in this election. We, the Gen Z youth, will move for 2026 municipal election with that party. Whether the other parties like it or not, they should tell their history to... Okay. This other one says, Brian Brain in Gabon from Bafmeng. We do not need to suffer a lot, especially the people of Northwest and Southwest. You wanted to react?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I earlier said his party doesn't have any pragmatic solution to solve the Anglophone problem. I have the impression that they don't even understand what the problem is, and if you don't understand what the problem is, you can never really solve it. I think the President Biya was the first to be sincere about the problem. During his panel with the Mo Ibrahim, I think you remember that.
Yes, that was.
He recognized that
before they died, the national
over
dialogue.
the years, they have been trying to assimilate one part of the country into the other, and that was being sincere as a statement. And even though we could say he did not apologize for doing that, or for being an architect of that kind of a situation, if Issa Chiroma came and apologized, and I think that's just been in politics, being sincere at one point in time is very important. When you are sincere, when you are still alive, it is good. It's not when you die that when they read your memoirs before you begin to say you apologize for this. Being sincere is good. It gives a way, a clear path to reconciliation and the rest. And solving the Anglophone problem is a complex thing, and something that is simple to do, something that needs just political will to be done. If you go back to the beginning of this crisis, if you want to really understand, well, if you go and read the memorandum or whatever, the letters, the bishop, the Anglophone ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, the bishops of the Anglophone regions wrote at the beginning of this crisis, they tried to break down the problem and propose solutions to the government, and think that is still one of the best